What would you have to do to become a better person morally? Not just to conform to societal norms, but to genuinely and personally improve yourself. Today, we'll look at the narrative game Firewatch, developed by Campo Santo, with a philosophical eye in regards of personal moral growth. As mentioned in my previous video of Soma, I'm a novice in philosophy, which is why I try to break down and explore concepts so that anyone can feel comfortable to engage in discussions. So if I miss out on anything, or you just want to discuss the topic or the game, feel free to do that in the comment section. These are just my own reflections in regards to the knowledge I have, and there will also be spoilers for parts of the game's story, so keep that in mind before you keep watching. But now, I think it's time to get into the video. To grow as an individual and become a better person, you have to lose your ego. The concept of unselfing was named by Iris Murdoch around 1970 in her book The Sovereignty of Good, which includes many different essays. What does Iris Murdoch believe about personal growth? She suggests that by embracing empathy and compassion, you become more aware of the moral complexities in the world. This, in turn, helps you understand others better and fosters a sense of responsibility and goodness. Before we move forward, let's break down what I mean by moral goodness. It refers to actions or qualities that match our ethical beliefs, determining what's right or wrong in a given situation. Moral goodness often involves qualities like compassion and empathy. So, in essence, Murdoch's concept is about how to become a better person by emphasizing these qualities and avoiding self-centeredness. I don't truly believe that Murdoch means that ego should be completely erased from your identity. First of all, it's quite impossible to do that. Second of all, you have to have ego in situations, which will help you understand your own worth as an individual. Putting up healthy boundaries is a positive trait that comes with ego, in my opinion. But it all boils down to the intention of one's actions. Henry spends a considerable amount of time looking after his wife, Julia, who has been affected with Alzheimer's disease. However, a turning point comes when Julia's parents make the decision to bring her back to Australia. This decision prompts Henry to set boundaries and make a choice in favor of his own well-being. He starts working in the Shoshone National Forest as a fire lookout, which brings a lot of isolation from social interactions. This decision can be seen as a way of coping with the mourning period, as Alzheimer's progressively affects Julia's memories and her essence disappears right before his eyes. In an attempt to escape the overwhelming reality, Henry seeks solitude and reflection. The situation becomes toxic and ego-driven when Henry escapes without taking time for self-reflection. He takes this job to just forget all his responsibilities and let everyone else take his heavy luggage. If he doesn't actually try to critically reflect during his summer as a fire lookout, he might dig a deep hole of self-pity, seeking solitude as his only comfort, which won't help him in future social situations. It could lead to social anxiety, making him hesitant to open up to others, or even fear to become attached to potential love interests again. This is why Delilah is a great person to be at Henry's side over the summer. By asking personal questions and being vulnerable herself, she helps him reflect rather than to dig that hole even deeper, which is the opposite that happened to Ned Goodwin. Ned Goodwin worked as a fire lookout at the same station as Henry. He also brought his son Brian with him to try to strengthen their strained relationship. Ned wanted to teach his son mountaineering, even if Brian was more interested in fantasy and the paper and pen role-playing game Wizards and Wyverns. This attempt would unfortunately end devastatingly. Brian got into an accident while climbing with his father and fell to his death in Cave 452, where his corpse still lays to rot. Having it hard to accept the reality and the consequences that might come if Ned came back to civilization, he stayed in the Shoshone National Forest, living a life of solitude, seemingly becoming protective of his son's death place. and doing anything he can to stop anyone from putting the truth in the spotlight. The consequences of this behavior leads to Ned not having an open mind to morality and empathy towards people such as Henry and Delilah. He listens in on them, takes advantage of Henry's fragile mind to fake that there's a research made on the pair, and eventually burns up the so-called research facility to blame it on Henry and Delilah, just in case they would find the corpse of Brian and report it to the authorities. He does everything he can to protect himself from being falsely accused of murdering his own son, which in the end hurts everyone around him. He's planned to keep going deeper and deeper into the forest, repeating a cycle of self-preservation and manipulation. He has not had a personal growth in regards to unselfing. No matter which choice you make when talking to Delilah as you head to the tram, you'll find that she won't be in the tower. Through the whole game, you've not really met anyone, except some shadowed figures. They've always been at a distance from Henry. When Henry arrives at Delilah's tower, it reinforces the idea that he has to go on this journey alone and meet Julia again. Perhaps to finally get some closure and move on, starting from scratch with Delilah or someone else, or be there for his sick wife that probably won't remember who he is. It's up to the player's decision and imagination on what Henry will do. Henry unselfs himself by going home to Julia. He strips off that ego, which Ned unfortunately hasn't been able to, and seeks closure. He doesn't only show empathy to Julia and her parents who's taking care of her, but also to himself. By not falling for the ego's trap of self-pity, he grows as a person. It's a hard topic to discuss if he should end things with Julia and try to move on, or if he should stay with her until her last breath. My version of Henry did not try to flirt with Delilah, but saw her as a good friend which guided him through a dark period of his life. In the end, he will be there and support Julia, but he will also put his boundaries up and try to continue his life through therapy and aiding the parents whenever they need time off too. What path did your Henry take in the game? Let me know in the comments. Now that we've explored the concept of unselfing in Firewatch, let's broaden our perspective and just give ourselves some context in regards to the variations of caregiving in the world. As the game lets you pick and choose Henry's storyline, it's good to understand how others could view some of the topics brought up in the game. It's interesting how different cultures view the topic of caregiving. In some parts of Asia, for example, elderly people are very respected and get taken care of in their own homes. The same goes with some South American cultures, where family has a stronger bond than other places of the world. This can of course create an identity of the caring individuals to just be a caregiver, where they might not be able to achieve everything they want in life. While as in Scandinavia, it's mostly a perspective of providing professional care in homes. This is also a mixed discussion, where some view it as basically throwing away your family to strangers who might not even know what's best for the one in need of care, that it reduces that person's own worth whenever they get sick or old. At the same time, it's a complex question that most definitely does not have a perfect ethical answer, as each situation is in need of context and understanding for everyone involved. In conclusion, through the themes of personal growth, caregiving, and its cultural differences, we can shed light on the complexities of human existence with Iris Murdoch's philosophy. Just like the June fire, life can't be put on pause, no matter how much you'd like it to. It will always catch up on you and possibly catch on to other areas in your life. While we've explored Henry's journey towards unselfing and his personal growth, it's important to remember that Julia deserves our empathy and understanding too. Alzheimer's is a terrifying disease, and I hope if anyone watching this is being affected by it in one way or another, I hope you have a great support system, and I send my regards through this digital place we call the internet. It's a powerful reminder of the real challenges many individuals and families face. Firewatch is a great narrative game with an ending that has sparked many discussions in regards to it being good, lazy, or thought-provoking. I definitely agree with the last part though. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'm looking forward to hear your thoughts about the topic and the game. And as usual, until my next video, have a good one.